Assalamualaikum. My name is M.HAFIZHAN bin Hamid. I'm from FIN546 Group 1. Today I'm going to cover about hiring and employment contract, also known as istijar in Islamic term. So, what is istijar? Generally, istijar is a contract that transfers the usufruct right to use or benefits from a specific asset or clearly defined service for an agreed duration in exchange for predefined and lawful payment or ujrah. It describes the temporary use of property without transferring ownership to ensure that both parties understand their rights and responsibilities throughout the rental or service period. The contract is divided into two types. The first is istijar ala al-amal, which focuses on hiring the services, skills, and labor of a person, such as employee, contractor, consultant, for a wage or fee. The second is istijar ala al-ayan, which focuses on leasing the usufruct of a tangible asset like equipment or property for rent. However, today, since I am covering the hiring and employment contract, I will only focus on istijar ala al-amal. We are moving to the key elements of this contract. There are four key elements in istijar ala al-amal contract. The first is al-aqidain, which is the contracting party. This refers to the agreement between the two parties. They must have legal capacities such as sen, mature, or pubsen. This element involves two important parties. The first is mustajir, which is the employer, the one who is hiring someone to perform a set of tasks or jobs. This can be anyone who have the right to hire, for example, the human resource department in a company. The second party is ajir, which is the employee, the one who will be performing the tasks or jobs. The second element is siga, which is the formal or informal expression. This is the manifestation of mutual consent between the parties. There are two important things in this element, which are ijab, a clear verbal or written statement proposing employment, and the second is qabul, a statement of agreeing the terms of the offer. Next is maqaat alai, which is the subject matter. This is the co-product being exchanged. It is not the physical asset itself, but the benefits derived from it. In the context of istijar ala al-amal, the product here is the effort, labor, or skills of the employee. For example, the effort of teaching, the skills of being a leader. Another important condition is the work must be lawful and clearly defined in the contract. The last element is ujrah, which is the compensation. This is the consideration paid in exchange for the services and benefits in form of wage or salary. It must be a known amount and valuable because ambiguity in payment invalidates the contract. Now I will explain how this contract works. The way the contract works depends on whether the ajir, which is the worker, is hired for a specific time or a specific task. So there are two classifications of the worker. The first classification is ajir khas, a worker who dedicates his time and labor exclusively to one employer for an agreed period. For example, a full-time employee at a company who must work from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. and cannot work for another employer during that time. The worker is obligated to dedicate their time and effort to the employer's task during the agreed upon hours. For the employer, they are obligated to pay the specified wage at the agreed time, such as pay salary at the end of the month. The second classification is ajir mustarok, which means a worker who offers a specific service or skills to the public and can serve multiple clients. For example, a plumber who fixes pipes for anyone who calls for his service. In this classification, the agreement must clearly specify the task and scope of work, and the fee upon completion of the task. The useful here is the completion of the defined task, not the worker's time. Next, I will talk about several related issues regarding istijar ala al-amal contract. The first is unknown wage. The wage must be clear, fixed, and lawful. If the wage is uncertain, the contract may contain gharar or uncertainty. Common problem is conditional payment, like when the employee said, you will get paid only if the project is successful, or vague payment, like do the task first, payment we will discuss later. The second is cancellation of the contract. Istijar is usually a binding contract. This means neither party may cancel without valid reasons once work has begun. This day, many workers choose to quit their job after a few days or weeks of work without a formal cancellation, like just leaving and never coming back again. Suppose that they are entitled to a portion of their wage, but since they left without a formal cancellation, the workers may lose their part. Another issue is worker competency issue. If the hired person lacks the skill or capacity to perform the job, the contract may become defective or lead to liability. This issue is quite common, as during the interview, some candidates may lie on their resume or overclaim on their capacity. The impact at the work may result in loss or damage. In this situation, the employer may void the contract. The last issue is work beyond agreed scope. Problems arise when the employer asks the workers to perform tasks that were not originally agreed. This usually requires a new contract and extra wage, but sometimes they perform the task without additional contract and do not get extra payment. Why is the istijar contract important? Hiring and employment contract, or istijar ala al-amal, is critically important in Islamic economics, as it forms the foundational legal structure for all labor, services, and employment activities. The contract provides the Sharia-compliant frameworks for all human efforts and services exchange. The contract establishes fundamental rights and obligations for both employers and employees to ensure fairness. It prevents workers' exploitation by requiring the ujrah or wage and task time be explicitly established at the moment of contracting to eliminate gharar or uncertainty.